Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of 5 Minutes with Gray Hair Dave. That's right. It's me. I'm back. I'm Dave. I've got gray hair. I've got a gray beard, and I wear glasses like the guy in the artwork. Folks, I got a lot done yesterday. Business insurance was a big part of that. Today, I received from the state my articles of incorporation, which are basically for an LLC. I got all my paperwork for that filed properly, and they are going to send that out to me in the mail, but basically I'm good to go. I've got QuickBooks set up. I've got everything I need to get going but a bank account and customers or clients. Just the important thing, the money coming in, right? So I'm happy about that. And now I can get started legally. Not that what I was doing before was illegal, but whatever money I might have made was being given to just me. So it was a single or a sole proprietor kind of a situation. But this way I don't get in any trouble with the government, with the IRS or the state. I just go and I do what I got to go do. I can start building my courses and sell them. I can do all those things that I want to do. So we're starting today. My roommate's doing a little dog sitting, and this poodle is it's a full-size poodle. He just doesn't shut up. He has been whining and barking all morning long because she went to work. Let them out, they come back in, and boom, they're doing the same thing again. But anyways, let's continue on. I've got to get this done. I wanted to talk about 1982 a little bit. Now, in 1982, I was still working at the paper mill. I was married to number one. And, we had a house up in Port Huron. We had friends. And she had two brothers and a mother. The father was way out of the picture. I don't know what happened there that I can remember off the top of my head, and it's really not important to this podcast. But have you ever been to the zoo? Now, I bring this up because one of her brothers and his wife lived about a half a mile from the Detroit Zoo. And I went to the Detroit Zoo when I was in junior high school, or what most people now call middle school, on a field trip. And all I remember about it is my mom went as a chaperone, and we had a great time. We had picnic lunch. We all took our lunches with us. We saw everything, but, I'm doing that when I'm a kid. So one day on the way, we were going to go visit them. On our way to her brother's house, we decided we were going to stop and go to the zoo. I had a great time there, and she did too. We went a couple of times after that. Once we went with her brother and sister-in-law and a couple of her friends, of her friends. And it was fun. It was a lot of fun. The lions, the tigers, and bears. Oh my. But the thing that really, yes, I love lions and tigers, and I love elephants. Didn't really realize that, but I do love elephants. I think they are a magnificent animal. But what really, really intrigued me was the aquariums. Folks, I tell you, the aquariums, for me, it's watching fish in motion and the different types of fish in motion just are gorgeous. Really, really are. Yeah, Dave, maybe you should have a fish tank. Well, I don't, and I'm not gonna. Been there, tried that, wasn't very good at it. There is an aquarium here in the house. It's a saltwater aquarium. There's only a couple fish in it, and it's quite extensive, the upkeep of that. My roommate, she has a guy come in every other week to take care of it. But anyway, It's one of those things where I really enjoyed the aquariums. Here in Central Florida, we are lucky. We have the ability to go to SeaWorld and go to their aquariums. And we also have here in Central Florida at Walt Disney World over at Epcot a enormous aquarium with stingrays and dolphins and sharks and every other thing. And I can stand there and watch it for hours. It's better than TV, folks, if you ask me. But when you were young, or even recently, do you go to the zoo? There's a lady who listens to this who lives out in California. Do you go to the San Diego Zoo, which I hear is fabulous, absolutely fabulous? Or Marine World. There's Marine World down here in Florida. We've also got SeaWorld here in Florida, in Tampa, as well as here in Orlando. But those are fun. I think they're a riot. I spend all day there. I used to be an annual pass holder to SeaWorld, and I gave that up. Things got tight for a while because of COVID, and some things had to go by the wayside, and I'm not the only one. A lot of people who were annual pass holders at SeaWorld stopped. Now, Disney just stopped giving them out, annual passes. They wouldn't sell them for a while because of the reservation system and everything else. It just made it more difficult. But if you were a zoo member or a SeaWorld member, you're an aquarium fan, do me a favor, leave me a note on 5minuteswithgrayhairdave.com. That's the number 5minuteswithgrayhairdave.com. And let me know what kind of things you like about aquariums. Me, I like the colorful fish. I was watching a movie, I don't know, about a month ago, and they were in Hawaii and they were snorkeling. And just the clear water and the color of all of those fish just, made me want to go. Really, really did. There was another one I saw recently was scuba diving in Tahiti. Same thing. Oh my God. The sea life is just amazing, amazing, amazing. But anyways, let's get back to 1982. We got a couple of minutes left. 1982, like I said, we were visiting family and friends, and we were a couple and enjoying life and trying to do all that while I was on swing shift. A week of midnights, then go into a week of afternoons, then turn around, go into a week of days, and then rinse and repeat realistically, start all over again. Did I like it? No. Money was good, though. And in Port Huron, where I grew up, there wasn't a lot of money to be made. I mean, there were industries there, and you could work for somebody else if you wanted to. But that wasn't as big a thing as it was if you were working at a paper mill. So, and don't get me wrong, if you lived in Port Huron back in the 80s, there were lots of good jobs. There were lots of good jobs. Friends of mine had lots of good jobs. But the paper mill was a union job, so it was paying a little bit better than a lot of other places. But do you remember the music you listened to in 82? Let me see if I can refresh your memories here. 1982, top number one song was Physical by the late Olivia Newton-John. Eye of the Tiger by Survivor. I love that song. I Love Rock and Roll by Joan Jett and the Blackhearts. Ebony and Ivory by Paul McCartney and Stevie Wonder. Centerfold by the J. Giles Band. Do You Want Me by the Human League. Jack and Diane by John Cougar. And back then he went by John Cougar Mellencamp. I think it's just John Cougar. Hurt So Good was also by John. Abracadabra by Steve Miller Band. I saw him in concert with 2.5, I'm sorry, here in Central Florida, and he's still a great guitar player. The music is still fantastic. I haven't been to a concert in a long time that I was disappointed by, and I hate to say it, but I was. Hard for Me to Say I'm Sorry by Chicago. That was number 10. Rosanna by Toto was number 14. I love that song. 8675309, Jenny by Tommy Tutone. Remember that one? Don't Talk to Strangers by Rick Springfield. Always on My Mind by Willie Nelson was number 22. Hold Me by Fleetwood Mac. Eye in the Sky by the Alan Parsons Project was 32 that year. Leader of the Band by Dan Fogelberg. That song had a lot to say to me. If you get a minute, go to YouTube and look up Dan Fogelberg or just type in Leader of the Band and listen to what he says about it. And it was about his dad. And I loved my dad. I was always impressed by his knowledge. And we'll talk more about my dad in another time. But, it made me think a lot about him every time I hear that. Private Eyes by Hall & Oates was number 44. Freeze Frame, remember that one by Jay Giles Band? Keep the Fire Burning was number 50 by REO Speedwagon. They were just starting to come up big. Love in the First Degree by Alabama. Okay. All this music back then was still coming out of disco, using a little bit of disco and rock together. The shows were getting bigger for concerts. Do you remember all that? What was the first concert you went to? What was the first outdoor amphitheater concert you went to? When we get into the 90s, remind me to tell you about a concert that got rained out, and it wasn't that bad, but just the way the artist came out and told us he was done, he wasn't going to put up with this crap. Ask me about that. That was in the late 90s, and I haven't listened to any of his music since. Will not, don't care. So it was rude, and for people who paid good money, there was no getting your money back. So anyways, what did you listen to? Leave me a message, 5minuteswithgrayhairdave.com. That's the number 5minuteswithgrayhairdave.com. Let me know what music you were listening to. Do these songs bring back any memories for you? They did for me. So if you know somebody who doesn't know what a podcast is, doesn't know where to find a podcast, doesn't know how to look up what they are or what they might be interested, do me a favor, will you? Show them. Don't forget, you follow me. If you want, you can also always rate this podcast too on your podcast player. If you did that, I'd really love that. That'd be really nice. So from Gray Hair Dave here at Gray Hair Central, now being called Gray Hair Productions, LLC, you all have a great day, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Bye.